I'm going to tell you about the worst betrayal I've ever experienced, and honestly, it still stings to talk about it. But I need to get this out because what happened to me could happen to anyone. And I think people need to know what their coworkers are actually capable of. So I was working at this digital marketing agency in London. Nothing fancy, but it was a solid company with about 80 people across 2 offices. I'd been there for 5 years, which in that industry is basically a lifetime. I started as a junior account manager and worked my way up. I wasn't the flashiest person in the office, but I was reliable. People trusted me. I got results. My clients stayed with us because I actually gave a damn about their businesses. About a year into my time there, this guy named Marcus joined the team. He was hired as a senior account manager, so technically a step above me, but we ended up working really closely together on the biggest client account we had. This was a luxury retail brand pulling in about $500,000 a year in fees. Massive for us. Marcus was charming, I'll give him that. Bit too eager to grab drinks after work and chat about nothing, but generally likable. We'd go to lunch together, grab coffee. He'd ask me questions about how I'd built relationships with clients, what my strategy was for certain campaigns. I was happy to help. I thought we were building a proper working friendship, you know? I genuinely wanted to help him succeed because I thought we were on the same team. Fast forward 18 months. Our company was expanding, and they announced they were creating a new director of client relations position. This wasn't just a promotion, it was a whole new level. It would oversee all account management across both offices, come with a serious salary bump, and basically be the right hand to the managing director. When I found out, I felt it in my chest. This was it. This was what I'd been working toward. My boss at the time, Christine, pulled me aside and said, "You should apply for this, you've earned it." She didn't have to say it. Everyone knew I was the obvious choice. I'd brought in new clients, I'd kept the big accounts happy, I had the most seniority. I had the experience. So I applied, went through the interview process, and honestly felt pretty confident. Then Marcus applied too. I remember thinking, fair enough. Healthy competition, right? Let the best person win. I told myself I wasn't worried. He'd only been there a year and a half. I had 5 years of proven track record. But there was this little voice in the back of my head that started nagging at me. 2 weeks later, they called me in to tell me they were going with Marcus. Christine delivered the news, and I could tell she was uncomfortable. She kept saying things like, "He has a different vision," and "they want fresh energy in the role." I was numb. Honestly, I don't remember much of what she said after that. I just remember walking back to my desk, sitting down and staring at my computer screen for what felt like hours. Over the next few months, I started noticing things. Marcus would pop by my desk and ask for information about campaigns I'd built, strategies I'd developed, client communication plans. I was still sharing because that's what I thought colleagues did. I didn't realize he was taking my entire playbook. Then came the charity gala. Our company was sponsoring it, and all the big clients would be there. Marcus was going as the new director, the face of the company. Guess who wasn't invited? Me, the person who'd actually built those client relationships. But here's where it gets worse. A mate of mine works at one of our competitor agencies. He rang me up about 3 months after Marcus got promoted and said, "Mate, I'm looking at Marcus's LinkedIn, and he's listing spearheaded the luxury retail account strategy and drove 300% growth in campaign performance on his profile. Aren't those your campaigns?" I pulled up my own profile and saw exactly what he meant. Everything I'd done, everything I'd built, he was claiming credit for. The worst part? When I checked his posts and articles, he was literally using the same language, the same metrics, the same case studies. He'd just changed the author name. He'd stolen my entire portfolio and passed it off as his own work. I felt sick, actually physically sick. All those lunches, all those coffees, all those times I'd explained my strategies thinking I was mentoring someone. He was extracting information to use against me. I didn't do anything immediately because I was honestly just devastated. But I started documenting everything. Every email where I'd explained a strategy, every message where he'd asked me for details. I kept copies of everything. Then I started updating my own portfolio. I added dates. I added client testimonials. I made sure everything was clearly documented with timestamps and proof. I posted about my campaigns on LinkedIn with actual details and results. I reached out to a few of my major clients and asked them to confirm my involvement in the work. They were happy to do it. After about 6 months of quietly building my case, I did something smart. I didn't go to HR with accusations. Instead, I applied for a position at a bigger agency. During the interview, I was completely honest about my work. I brought receipts, actual documentation, client emails, testimonials. These weren't just claims, these were facts backed up by evidence. I got the job, better salary, better title, and I was out. But the karma. That came about a year later when our company decided to audit the new director's performance. Apparently, one of the big clients started asking questions when their renewal came up, and Marcus was suddenly vague about how certain campaigns had been built. They asked for detailed breakdowns. He couldn't provide them. They dug deeper. They found out he'd been claiming credit for work he hadn't done. My former colleague told me he was basically forced out. Not fired, but sidelined so badly that he quit. The company did a review of his claims, found nothing original he could point to, and realized they'd promoted a fraud. I'm not going to lie and say it felt amazing when I found out. It was more of a relief than a victory, if that makes sense. What actually felt good was knowing that I'd handled it with integrity. I didn't sabotage him. I didn't trash talk him. I just built an undeniable record of my own work and let the truth speak for itself. Marcus learned that you can't build a career on someone else's foundation. Eventually, the cracks show. Eventually, people figure it out, and the person you betrayed, they move on and thrive without you. That's what happened to me.